rocketopolymus.
Can I have a white Americano, please?
And then chucks you as far as they possibly can in the other direction, maybe with a fist on the way. Yeah.
Now that's love. You could make me king. That would work. One option.
Or we could put you in a cage like we do with dogs. Darcy, pass me the right Russian. You know what I mean? Imagine arm wrestling with your toes.
I could be into that. Howdy doody, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode. This is IMRG Takes On. So what we do on here every episode is we take a topic and then we try and drive at it really fast and see if it will blink before we do. And we usually blink. We're pretty good at blinking, right?
Yeah, we are chickens in the game of chicken.
There it is. So my name's Andy Mulcahy and this is
Tom Jacobs.
And we're taking on festival season this time around. So what that means is Glastonbury's not on, but there's all this other stuff. And some of it's very weird. Some of it is, quite a lot of it's music-based, but it's not all music-based. But what we're interested in really is, who cares? What does it mean for British culture? And what does it mean for e-commerce particularly? Are there opportunities around this stuff?
Are you a festival goer?
I was, yeah. I used to go to festivals a hell of a lot.
You take me as a Glastonbury sort of guy, or do you go to these niche ones that are in like Sherwood Forest and 15 people go and it's a bit airy-fairy?
So I've been to those.
Yeah.
But I've also been to Glastonbury. I went 4 times. But the thing, I get quite jealous about it these days because you're right, it is a bit me, Glastonbury, or at least the image of it is. But actually, it's kind of changed quite a lot. So when I first went there, it was just the period where they put up the big wall around the outskirts of it. I don't know if you kind of know about this, but basically before they put up this big wall, people just used to go and climb over the fence, right?
Yeah.
So you had, should we say, a few scumbags that would sort of go there.
Have you ever bought a ticket for Glastonbury, or did you just go 4 times?
No, post-wall, you kind of have to buy a ticket. I'm also a law-abiding citizen, so I absolutely buy a ticket. But there's just like profound differences. So when I used to go there, the car park was a bit dicey. You know what I mean? There were some people who were going to nick your hubcaps.
Let me just try and place this in my mind a second. Who was headlining the first year you went to Glastonbury?
Radiohead and REM.
Oh, so we're talking early 90s, are we?
No, this is 2003, I think, first time I went.
You can tell I don't know much about music, can't you?
No, 1983, yeah, sure. But, you know, now it seems to me that the clientele has kind of changed quite a lot. And it's sort of, they've got older, I think, because old people have got more money and basically everything's got more expensive.
Well, it's weird because I see Glastonbury and I sometimes think, is it a family-friendly festival?
I do think it's become a lot more middle class. I think you can see that. I think you'd probably, instead of being woken up by someone throwing up on your tent, it's probably more likely that you get woken up by someone shouting up, "Can I have a white Americano, please?" or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
What's the Wi-Fi? You know, that sort of it. You're in a field.
Yeah, these days. I mean, like, I've never been. I'm not one to judge, but it feels a bit, Darcy, pass me the right Russian. You know what I mean?
I think that's probably fair. But, you know, the old hippie element is still there. And it still is a very hippie-ish festival, in fairness.
Did you take a flag? Because that's the thing it's famous for, isn't it? It's just miles of flags.
Well, no, because it seems the most stupid thing that you would take, right? So I've got a standard. I'm 6'1" anyway. So I'm always blocking someone at a concert.
Yeah.
And then if I get a flag out that's 15 foot high and start waving that around, then what are you doing to actually improve anyone's experience of this?
So my mate had he's got a friend called Gordon, he's 6'6", and at every festival they've been to, people use him as the marker. So they'll be like, right, if we get lost, I'll meet you at that really tall guy
His
later
head is
in a
like
couple
an
of
arrow.
hours. And he stands there and initially he'll just find people just like kind of gravitate around him like the moon going around the earth, just waiting for their friends to show up. Yeah.
Everyone needs a Gordon.
Everyone does.
The reason that it's important for e-commerce, I think, is because anything like this, it just creates a little bit of demand for something. So if people, when festival season comes along, because people need to buy stuff for it, when you go to a British festival, you haven't got any guarantees, right? So you're going to need sun cream and shorts and T-shirt and all that. You need as well boots, and you need a cagoule. Do people still call it a cagoule, or have I gone back 100 years?
Was that just like a coat?
Well, a rain jacket.
Yeah. Why didn't you just call it a rain jacket
I
instead
don't know.
of
I call them Wellington bombers as well. But I'm like an Edwardian, aren't I? But doing e-commerce.
Well, it's like when you do your stupid Cockney rhyming slang, and it doesn't make sense because no one's ever used that slang term before.
But it creates all this demand, and because there's so many different things, you sort of need to buy the lot. And it isn't just the festivals either. I think Wimbledon, for example, to me, is a little bit of a sort of festival. I know it's a sports thing, but it does mean that people are going to buy that sort of pseudo-posh stuff, strawberries and Pims and that.
I'm sure our CEO will love me saying this, but he happened to share his screen the other day with ChatGPT on it, and it said, "What shirts do you wear to Queens?" And I thought, he's asking AI to tell him how to dress. And that's one thing, isn't it?
Well, that would explain a lot. But, every one of these sort of festivals, it brings its own sort of demand with it. So obviously you want to be, if people are searching for, I need some attire or some massive flag that's going to stop anyone seeing the concert, then you need to be showing up in those searches.
I'm assuming tents go through the roof. Because don't they all leave the tent, like famously, just seas of tents at the end of a festival, or they're burnt down in some of the festivals that I've heard of.
Yeah, it loses its sustainability image a little bit at certain points. I think that is probably fair to say. So Glastonbury would have been this year on the weekend when we got the heat dome.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's quite different from when I went, because when I went there, it seemed to me that they were doing their best to create World War One. Well,
I thought it was famously muddy.
That's what I mean.
Years,
it is it's like being that. And you can't walk properly. Your boots actually get stuck because the sun comes out after the rain and it makes the mud go really sticky. And now it seems to me that it always just seems to be warm. Whenever I watch it on the TV, they're all having a nice time in the sun. But a heat dome is not nice time in the sun, is it?
No. Well, again, I think I've mentioned this before, but if you're a Factor 50 for kids sort of guy like I am, 35 degrees in a festival, let's be fair, you're going to be drinking most of the day. You're dehydrated. You can wear a hat, sure. You're going to be well hot. It doesn't really seem like my idea of fun unless you're glamping. If you can get yourself in some sort of caravan, not too bad.
Yeah, but you can't park your caravan at the front of the stage, can you? And just go, sorry, everyone, I'm just going here because I'm hot. Well, I'm just going to stick my head out of the roof now with my massive flag.
Aren't they closer, though? Or are they further away? I thought they were closer
You still have to stand in front of a stage and watch some music, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the bits where it's hottest. And what typically happens, I find, as well, is they put the stage somewhere where you're staring right at the sun. So the sun is directly in your face as you're trying to enjoy it.
Well, the other thing is, I'm more of a rock music sort of person anyway. So when I go and see those sorts of festivals, I mean, you are shoulder to shoulder. You're essentially getting beaten up for 45 minutes until the band stops their music. That's like, weirdly, I find that quite fun. But that in 35-degree heat probably wouldn't be good. But I don't know if that's Glastonbury's vibe, is it?
I think it's not a Glastonbury thing, no, but the rock thing is more, it's friendly violence.
Yeah.
And I really like friendly violence.
What I love about it, you get knocked over, someone picks you up with a smile,
Absolutely. And then throws you over again.
And then chucks you as far as they possibly can in the other direction, maybe with a fist on the way. Yeah.
Now that's love.
So, Andy, you famously think old people are sort of ruining Glastonbury as much as the sort of upper class are as well. And I've seen in the notes here, there's something called the grey pound. So for us, like layman's, what do you mean by the grey pound?
So the grey pound is one of these consultant terms that these people come up with sometimes to make you feel like you're missing out on some great big opportunity that they can help you to discover.
Okay.
So they've put a figure on it. They say those people.
Say big consultancy, is it? Yeah.
Exactly. And they don't get out of bed for a low amount of money.
Right.
And they say that the grey pound, which is basically just means old people, is worth 320 billion to the UK economy. Now, to put that in perspective, that's around about quarter or so of our GDP.
Right.
So it's significant. But this is to the point that older people, basically the sort of baby boomer generation, have been almost one of the most fortunate generations that ever existed, right?
Yeah.
Post-war.
Don't tell them that, though. They'll argue against you for that. But yeah, go on.
Well, they got a leg to stand on because they're so old. But they grew up with a sort of peace dividend, and then they had these gold-plated pensions, the defined benefit one where you end up getting...
Your final salary, right?
Yeah, the final kind of salary. If you were lucky enough to go to university, which to be fair, a lot of them weren't, but you probably got a grant.
Well,
so
it was free.
You didn't even come out with massive amounts of debt or anything.
It was free for years.
They also managed to get hold of houses, which, being completely honest, a load of them shouldn't really have had. So they built all these new builds, and then people go down there. And I remember speaking to someone, because I grew up on one of these sort of new build estates, if you like. And I remember speaking to someone who bought one of their houses. He's not a rich guy at all. And they all seem to end up getting a 3-bed house with a garden, with a garage, basically pretty nice. But they just lied about their capacity to pay back the mortgage, because it isn't like now, right? You can't lie about stuff like that. There's all sorts of checks and things.
Well, 2008 put a stop to it, I think.
But it's also the technology, right? But back then, it's a bloke with a bit of paper
Well,
saying,
yeah.
okay, can you pay this back? Yeah.
But your house was 3 times your salary back then. It's now like, what, 27 or something? I think the most recent one is.
Yeah. So that basically the asset that they bought has ballooned in value. So they now have this massive asset that's just worth so much. So basically that's why they've got so much of this spending power.
Do you fit into the grey pound? Do I? Because I've got grey hair. You've got grey hair.
I haven't got grey hair.
You've got some grey hair. I'm looking at you. I can tell you.
No one,
if you think you don't,
well, we can't settle this
deluded.
because no one can see me. So this is a ridiculous conversation, isn't it?
But anyone who's listened to this podcast, I reckon, would have seen you in person at one of our events at some point or online on a webinar. You've got grey hair, mate.
I don't think anyone
embrace it.
No one looks at me and goes, "That's grey pound, that bloke." He is grey pound. I'm going to get him a Zimmer frame because he cannot move. Look at him.
I look at you and think you're a strong wind from falling over sometimes. I really do. But with your grey hair, I've got grey hair. I reckon we could be taken into that. That's probably what it's worth. What was it, a quarter of GDP? Did you say? It's probably because there's so many bloody people go grey at 27.
Well, maybe they're fiddling. So this is consultants, remember. And they may be fiddling the figures to some extent, I grant you. But the interesting thing about them having so much money is, from an e-commerce perspective, the older generation, this is typically how new technology works, is them are a bit slower to take it up. So when you get this new stuff coming in, like, you know, a new way to pick up your delivery or a new pay through your phone or, you know, whatever, they don't immediately jump on it. You know, they're still getting their checkbooks out and stuff because that's how they know how to do something.
Is that right, or is that a stereotype? You know, the classic, I've got to go around Grandad's and help him with his computer.
Oh, no, Dad's on Facebook. But it wasn't Dad on Facebook, first of all. It was the kids. And then the kids go, oh, no, he's here. I'm going to TikTok. You know, and they all sort of jump off and something. And they get there eventually, but they're slow to take it up. And it's quite interesting because I was in M&S one time and this bloke came up to me. I don't work at M&S and I wasn't wearing an M&S top. But this guy came over to me and said, I'm here to pick up my thing from the locker. I don't know how to do it, right? And I said, okay, I mean, I don't know either, but I'll come and help you. So I went over to the locker and he showed me the thing and it said, put this code into the locker. Right? Yeah. So I tapped the code into the locker. Hey, presto, the thing opened. He was physically unable to work out how to do that.
Well, first off, maybe he didn't have his glasses on, couldn't see it. Second, maybe he just wanted a friend. Maybe he just wanted to speak to somebody.
Well, I walked off as soon as possible, but
that does take.
But you know, also like if you're going to sell stuff to, you know, the grey pound, the people that have got all this money, I mean, you must be thinking to yourself, zimmerframes.co.uk. You know, we need to sell some walking sticks. We need to sell really like thick glasses and loads of pairs of glasses. You know what I mean? Because there'll be someone who's got, these are my readers. You know, I can't wear the readers and watch the telly. I need my watches for that.
Buy one pair.
I need my lookers to look over there.
Yeah,
and then they got like 25 pairs of slippers because you can't go from the carpet into the hallway without putting different slippers on. And then I'm going upstairs. I need to put my stair slippers on. And then if you've left your lookers upstairs, but you've got the wrong slippers on, how are you going to get back down to get your lookers to go and look for the lookers?
It's math I couldn't possibly do, Andy. I'm not sure. One pair of sunglasses, get a packet of Werther's Originals for free. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so that money is there and it's waiting for you to go and get it, people. What about jumpers? You know those jumpers that they wear in the summer? You know where you go outside and you got shorts on, you see an old person, literally a jumper and a duffel coat. And you think, I do not understand how we're in the same vicinity here.
There is an old bloke who lives opposite me and he was, 33, 35 or something the other day. And he was wearing the classic old school look, which I'm a big fan of, where he's like, you know, shirt, really light linen sort of trousers, the sort of hat that you only see on a Jurassic Park style TV show, you know, that the sort of archaeologist hat. Loved it. And they always just look like, you must be sweating. But no, they're fine. So if I'm not in the grey pound and you're not in the grey pound, are there other coloured pounds we could be in?
There are. I don't know if there's one for us. I'll be honest. There's a consultant out there scratching his head right now thinking, how can I get this man into a pound? You could make me king. That would work, one option.
Or we could put you in a cage like we do with dogs.
Well, let's go with king,
okay,
and then see how it goes. There are different coloured pounds. So there's another one. This is the purple pound, right? And the purple pound is disabled people. And the consultants say that it's worth 274 billion, that part. Now, I think what they're doing there, again, I think they're fiddling things a little bit. I think it might be physical disability and also like mental disability and also I've got a runny nose or something, therefore I'm disabled. Can I be in your consultant pot, please?
Is it the ones that come out of the office with a walking stick and then when no one's looking, they just stand upright and then go for a jog?
Yeah, absolutely, right. Yeah, and do some juggling. But, the reason that sort of cohort is interesting to e-commerce operators, for example, is because sometimes your site isn't necessarily accessible by certain people. So if they're visually impaired, for example, and you've got a site where the glare isn't, glare is a bit too much or the text is too small or they would struggle to see it, you quite quickly lose them. Or some people lose, if someone's deaf, then you can use captions on videos and things so that they see what's going on. You can put the alt text on images so they know what they're looking at. You can navigate with using keys or voice, so not just using the mouse, because some people struggle to use a mouse because they've got some sort of hand problem. So if they can use voice and they're able to get around. So there are sort of things about it. And I know from my own personal experience that if you don't cater for people, then it can be a problem for you, right?
What's your personal experience?
Well, I'm not going to go through my many mental disabilities here, but my granddad at my wedding, right, when we were looking at venues, we went to look at this one place and it was nice, but the room where we were having the meal was on the top floor and there was no lift, right? And my granddad was struggling to move around at the time. I said to him, well, how would we get someone who's got a disability up into the top floor? And he just looked at me and he goes, well, we could carry him. And I just thought, well, obviously that's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah.
So
it's not the scenario. It's not the outcome you were looking for when you asked him that question, was it?
No. Am I also paying you 10 grand for this? Like, what are we doing here?
Put in a lift.
So I'm not sure that one was really terribly well handled.
Yeah.
There's also the black pound, which is sort of ethnic minority, basically, and that comes in things like beauty, skincare and hair care. There are sort of different types of product that people look for. I don't know if you remember at Glastonbury when Stormzy did his performance. But you got a load of ballet dancers to come on and they were wearing these shoes that were designed for people with darker skin. So you see, there is kind of things that you can do with your product range there.
Who's coming up with the names of these?
The consultants.
Yeah, but what big consultancy? Who's coming up with these?
Well,
I don't know. Am I the only one who doesn't know this is established?
You can Google this. You can all do this right now. Go and Google these things and you will find it. The next one, though, and this I think is the most patronising one, is the pink pound.
Right.
Because pink pound is LGBTQTI1Z. And that one it's quite small, that one. It's only 6 billion compared to all the other ones. But I sort of struggle a little bit with that one to understand, well, what do you mean? Like, how do I need to change what I'm doing in order to appeal to that? Because the other ones were quite clear. There are things that you can do.
But what if you're old and gay? Are you a grey pink pound?
Yes, quite possibly.
And
you could actually put all four of those together into a single thing. Does that mean that you've then got incredible spending power?
I think you probably just got the economy.
My God, that's it. You've just created the demographic that we need to get Britain back on its feet again. This has been an extraordinary moment, everyone.
Look at that, solving the world's problems as
Go on, Andy Burnham, there's your manifesto.
Right, we've got another question coming from the IMRG community. This one is, how do festivals compare to other retail moments like back to school? Is there a comparison? I don't feel like I see, if I'm going shopping online, I don't really feel like I see anything festival specific like you would back to school, but I might be wrong. Andy? Am I wrong?
The festival season coincides with the summer sale season, which is one of the biggest ones that you do in the year. So, there's ample opportunity to use the summer sale as part of that sort of festival thing. This 50-foot flag, we didn't sell it, but it feels like Glastonbury's coming along, whatever. The back to school thing is its own unique thing because the incredible pressure, and anyone who's got a kid probably knows it, because it's easy to make fun of people about this, but when it gets to the day before back to school, there's suddenly this amazing flurry of, oh my God, we need to get a pair of shoes, or none of his school uniform fits him. And you think, that's so stupid. Why have you left it till then? Until you've got a kid yourself who goes to school, and then you realise the last thing that you want to bloody talk about when he's not at school is school.
Yeah.
So you do leave it until the final minute. But it does create this amazing panic among people who realise it just doesn't fit that stuff anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there's clearly like festival ranges, right? Because if you see, I've got friends who will go to festivals, and I go to a few, but none that would necessarily have clothing specifically for it. But yeah, you see some of my friends who go, so I've got some girl mates who went to one recently, and they're wearing like webbing, like lime green net webbing basically all over the place. Like, where are you buying that? That has to be like a festival range, or I don't know, you've spray painted a spider web or something.
And why would you need to wear a web? I'm just trying to think of where that would be useful, because I don't like flies on me.
But it's its own thing, isn't it? Festival fashion is its own thing. It's stuff you would never wear in a high street, but you're at a festival, so you can. So you it's like 30 odd degrees and they're wearing ankle sock warmer things. The ones that go up past your shin in their sort of very 80s retro aerobic videos fashion. Yeah,
and again, like I say, you'd never ever wear that anywhere else. And I also get these T-shirts where they've just got suggestive statements on them.
Go on.
The sort of things that you wouldn't go around your nan's wearing it. You probably wouldn't walk down the high street wearing it either, but some of it not too bad, like, Dolly told me to do it or whatever. So, you're referencing Dolly Parton or whatever. But, they make these kind of statements where they want to grab people's attention, because then someone walking past you, oh, ha, look at your shirt. Isn't this funny?
Yeah.
It's like a top that says something like open for trade or something, So it's like a little bit suggestive. Probably you wouldn't wear that around your nose.
I mean, you have to go a bit to work that one out, haven't you? Yeah.
I had this great shirt that was...
my wife thinks I'm under embargo, something like that.
I had this great shirt that was... it was a picture of Frank Zappa sat on the toilet. And I used to really like that T-shirt, but then I lost it at a festival because I took it off and threw it in a bush thinking it was funny. And then I woke up the next morning and realised I'd thrown it in a bush and it wasn't very funny.
Was that your only T-shirt for the whole weekend?
It really was.
That's what I'm saying. Andy, when you go to festivals, you go to Glastonbury or whatever, what are you wearing? Because, are you wearing this web net thing?
No. It never really occurred to me, to be honest. Just like in daily life, I don't put, I wouldn't describe it as a massive amount of thought into what I'm currently wearing.
Say what?
And it's a bit like Einstein, he wouldn't spend, he had like all the suits that were the same. He'd just wear the same suit every day, so he didn't have to spend any. I'm a bit like that, really.
Well, I've noticed when it gets to the summer, you have one pair of shorts. You're wearing them.
That's no longer true. For at lunchtime today, I went and bought 2 pairs of shorts from M&S. Is it 2 pairs, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it because everyone probably thinks, that, there's Andy with his grey shorts again?
Well, and it's also, I don't know if this is a thing that other people have, right? But I probably have about 4 or 5 pairs of jeans. Not one of those pairs has a hole in the pocket. I have 3 pairs of shorts and there's a hole in every single pocket. What is that all about?
So obviously we've touched a lot on Glastonbury and some of the other festivals that we can go to in the UK. I've been looking around the world for weird and wonderful festivals that I think might suit you specifically, Andy Mulcahy.
Let's hear it.
Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to have trouble with some of these names because obviously they're not, English names. But we'll give it a go. So we've got in Oulu, Finland, the Air Guitar World Championships. So since 1996, I know you love your music, since 1996, contestants from around the world have competed. And I think they get about a few hundred a year. Air guitar, big stage, really go for it. I can see you doing that. Knee sliding.
I think with air guitar, I do think it's one of those things that people think they look really good doing air guitar. And it couldn't really be further from the truth.
If I'm being honest, I don't think anyone thinks they look good doing air guitar. I think they just enjoy it.
Why is there a festival where people are standing on stage doing air guitaring?
Well, because it's funny. I don't think it can't be serious. I didn't look into it, but it can't be serious.
Are they laughing on stage? No, they're pulling the I'm playing guitar grimace.
Well, the one person I saw in the photo looked a bit like David Bowie. I'll take that what you will.
Yeah, but again, looking like David Bowie and doing air guitar, I just don't see what that's achieved.
Okay, well, say you turned up today and you thought, that's a bit disappointing. I'm going to go to Greece next, and I'm going to go to here we go, Rocketopolis. Going to stick with that pronunciation. It's a rocket war. So there's an Easter tradition where there's this Greek island. They've got like an Ottoman era church and a slightly later church. And every year on Easter, they fire rockets at each other. Not like, proper like firework sort of rockets, but there's thousands of these rockets. Go look at pictures of it. It's amazing. And it looks incredible. 80,000 homemade bottled rockets each year are fired at each other. And I think the winner is apparently like which one gets the most direct hits on the other cathedral. But they will just say they won it in the end. It's an amazing spectacle. You seem like a man who likes a bit of fireworks.
I do, but I don't like danger or being horrible to people. And it feels to me, what's that horror film where they just cancel all the rules for one day so that you can murder people and it's fine? It sounds a little bit stupid to me, like a bit like that. Because if they said, you, Steve, you're allowed to murder Andy's family, but then tomorrow it's okay because it was done during the period where you're allowed to do that. I don't think I'm really going to be able to accept that.
No, and I would like to clarify, this festival isn't murdering your family. It's just throwing some bottle rockets across from churches to churches.
If you fire a rocket at someone and you hit them in the face, they are going to come and express their displeasure.
Well, it might double as like a face mask festival. You never know. I've misread you, clearly. We're going to go to El Calacho, which is in Murcia. This festival is where men dressed in devil masks jump over babies to get rid of their sin, the innate sin they're born with. Goes back from like the 1600s, and people just line the streets with their infant babies as grown men jump over them.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be your baby. So it's someone else who's bought their baby so that men dressed as devils can jump over them. Have I understood that correctly?
If I'm being honest, this sounds a bit more like your purge analogy than the other one did.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a bit like poor parenting, I think, if we're being really honest.
It does, but I suppose if you have a couple of glasses of wine, you might think, just put little Timmy down, he'll be fine.
Does it work?
Well, as a festival, it's been going since the 1620s, so clearly it must be.
Well, what do I know?
Exactly. Have you? Don't jump over a baby till you try it.
Have I got a festival? No.
Maybe we can start one. So this next one is, here we go, the Kaljakelunta. I'm going to stick with that. In Uusimaa province in Finland. This is a bit of you, and I know it's a bit of me. It's a beer festival where you all get in dinghies and anything inflatable, and you go down this unbelievably long river. There's hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of people just drinking beer at luxury, going down this big river in rubber dinghies. I've actually done this, not in Finland, but where I grew up, there was a little river that kind of ran from somewhere in Hampshire all the way down to Southampton. And when we were about 14, 15, we raided our parents' beer cabinets and went on rubber dinghies down this river, and we called it the Great River Race. And we did it every year for about 4 years. And if you're in Hampshire area and you want to restart it, do it, because it's great fun.
Yeah, it feels like it needs to be safe, I think. So what time of year is this thing happening? Because it gets famously cold up there, doesn't it?
Well, it's the end of July.
Okay.
Summer.
Is it, when I think of that part of the world, I do think a little bit fast rapids, jaggedy.
Finland. Well, the pictures look like it's a lovely placid sort of river.
All right, I'll go and do it and then I'll let you know.
Andy, it's a beer cruise. Are you going to say no to a beer cruise?
No.
Exactly. And then we're going to finish that off with you going to Phuket in Thailand for the Vegetarian Festival. Now, this one is a bit of you. Maybe not for the reasons you think. So, Phuket's Vegetarian Festival, held for 9 days in October. Cheek piercing is one of the standout spectacles. Participants, as well as abstaining from the consumption of all animal products, have been known to parade around with skewers, swords, and even lampshades and umbrellas protruding from their faces. So you're celebrating not eating animals by stabbing yourself relentlessly in the face.
I don't see what the link is there, I'll be honest.
It's a bit obtuse, isn't it?
Feels like you're making it difficult to eat if you're making holes in your own face.
Well, I feel like you're probably making yourself a kebab,
I thought, but with no meat on it.
I've got to give honourable mentions to the other festivals I didn't include in that top 5 for you. There is obviously the classic throwing a cheese down the hill in the UK. Brilliant festival. I'm shocked you haven't done it. You look like you've got the legs to run downhill.
Just getting cheese all over your hands is really smelly. You
do karate as well. Do you reckon you've got strong toes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, in Derbyshire, there is toe wrestling championships. It's a weekend festival. Imagine arm wrestling with your toes.
I could be into that. That is our winner.
Yeah?
You would send me the details.
All right, I'll make sure we get in touch with them afterwards.
It's a bit disgusting.
Maybe we could sponsor it, the IMRG Toe Wrestling Festival.
Oh, yeah, they're looking for sponsors.
I'm sure they are. I mean, I imagine they haven't got many.
I hear Coca-Cola pulled out, so...
Yeah, I know. It was the World Cup or the Toe Championships, and they thought, if we have to divide our time. Right, Andy, we've reached the end of the podcast on this episode of, to be honest with you, I've forgotten exactly what. Festivals? We covered a lot of weird ground. Do you think we even approached taking it on?
I feel like it was a bit of a score draw, really. So I think for the first time, we haven't been massively defeated.
No, I'd give it probably a C plus B minus sort of attempt. I don't think we won, but probably got a participation medal.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Everyone's a winner.
So thank you for listening to this week's episode. There will be more. Hopefully there'll be more. We'll see what happens at the end of this episode. But like and subscribe anywhere you can. Apple, Spotify, you name it. We're probably there. It would help us a lot. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.